Hey everyone, and welcome. So today we're going to dive into the 5S methodology. But listen, we're not treating this like some abstract theory from a textbook. We're looking at it as a real, practical, step-by-step roadmap, a guide to take your workspace from, kind of chaotic to absolutely world-class. So let's kick things off by looking at a problem I bet you've all seen before.
Does this sound familiar? Your team does a massive cleanup. Everything looks incredible for about a week, and then, slowly but surely, the clutter just creeps back in, right? All that amazing initial energy just seems to fizzle out. It's such a common and frustrating problem with these kinds of initiatives.
And that right there is exactly what we're tackling today. We're not just going to talk about what 5S is, we're going to lay out the how. We're giving you a clear, sustainable roadmap to make sure all that hard work actually sticks around for good.
So where do we begin? Well, not with a broom, surprisingly. You start with a plan. See, the real secret to making 5S work begins long before you sort a single thing. It's all about building a rock-solid foundation first.
Here are the 5 things you absolutely have to do first. You've got to get leadership on board to champion the whole thing. Then, you build a diverse team to actually own the process. Everyone needs training, so they know the why behind what you're doing. Then, and this is key, you pick one pilot area to get a quick, visible win. And finally, and don't skip this, you measure everything before you start. Take pictures, time how long it takes to find things, because really, how can you celebrate your success if you don't even know where you started?
All right, so with that foundation in place, now we can start building the 5 pillars that are the heart and soul of 5S. Just think of them as 5 powerful, sequential steps that will guide the entire transformation. So here they are: sort, set in order, shine, standardize, and sustain. Each one builds directly on the one before it. Let's break them down one by one.
First up is sort, or seiri in Japanese. This is the great decluttering. The mission is super simple. If you don't need it for the work you do right there, get it out. This immediately frees up valuable space, it improves workflow, and honestly, it just makes the whole area safer.
Now the key here isn't to just start tossing stuff in a bin, no way. You use a smart, disciplined process called red tagging. Anything you're not sure about gets a red tag. You move it to a special holding area, and then the whole team gets together to decide its fate. This gets everybody involved and makes sure you don't accidentally get rid of something important. Okay, once you're left with only the essential stuff, you move on to seiten, which is set in order. This is where you create a perfect, logical home for everything that's left. The goal is to make finding, using, and putting back any tool or material totally, completely effortless. This old saying perfectly captures the whole idea. A place for everything and everything in its place. It sounds so simple, right? But when you make this a reality in your workplace, the efficiency gains are just massive. Think about it. No more wasted time hunting for that one specific wrench or that file you need. So how do you make it happen? You use powerful visual tools, things like shadow boards that literally show the outline of where a tool goes, clear labels, floor markings that show where carts and bins belong, even simple address systems for shelves. These things make the right way obvious to anyone, even a new person, at a single glance. Pillar number 3 is shine, or say so. And I've got to tell you, this is so much more than just cleaning. Think of it like this. As you clean a machine or a workstation, you're also inspecting it. You become the first line of defense, spotting those tiny issues, like a small oil leak or a loose bolt, before they turn into huge, expensive problems. Okay, now we get to the pillar that really starts to make all this hard work stick: standardize, or seiketsu. This is where you take all the awesome improvements from the first 3 steps and you turn them into the new official way of doing things. You're creating clear, simple, visual rules that anyone can follow without even thinking about it. And these standards need to be right there in your face, impossible to ignore. A photo of what the workstation should look like at the end of every shift. A simple daily checklist, laminated cleaning schedules. These tools lock in your progress and clearly define what good looks like from now on.
And that brings us to the 5th and final pillar. It's often the hardest, but it's easily the most important: sustain, or shitsuke. This one is all about discipline. It's about turning 5S from a special project into a daily habit, something that just becomes part of your company's DNA.
Which, brings us right back to that original problem. How do you stop the whole program from just fading away after a few months?
Well, sustaining this kind of change takes a real, dedicated, ongoing effort. It's not going to happen by accident.
So, how do you do it? Well, you need a system. You need regular audits to check in and see how things are going. You need continuous training to keep everyone's skills sharp. You track key performance indicators, KPIs, and you display them so everyone can see the progress we're making. And when managers get out on the floor regularly to observe and coach, that's called a Gemba walk. It sends a huge message that this stuff really matters.
So why go through all this trouble? Because the payoff is real, and it is measurable. Let's take a look at some actual results from Indian manufacturing companies that followed this exact roadmap.
I mean, the results really do speak for themselves. These case studies show that companies that really sustain their 5S programs see a 20 to 50% drop in the time people waste just looking for tools and materials. Just stop and imagine getting all of that productive time back every single day.
And you know, it's not just about being faster. In one case, a cement plant, the shine pillar directly led to a massive reduction in dangerous dust hazards. That is a huge improvement in safety, directly contributing to a healthier place to work.
This right here sums it all up perfectly. It's the entire roadmap on one screen. You can see the phases, the key steps in each, a typical timeline, and importantly, who's responsible at each stage. It's your complete game plan.
So as we start to wrap up, let's just quickly review the golden rules for success. Start small with a pilot to build some momentum. Involve your employees every single step of the way to create real ownership. Make everything visual. And remember, audits are for coaching and improving, not for pointing fingers. And above all else, that leadership support has got to be visible and continuous.
To put it another way, for every common problem, like people resisting the change, or things sliding back to the old way, there's a best practice we've talked about that is the direct solution. This is how you get ahead of the problems and plan for success from day one.
So we'll leave you with this final thought. You don't have to boil the ocean here. Thinking about everything we've covered, what's one small, manageable first step that you could take tomorrow to start this journey in your own workspace? Thanks for joining me.